Welcome in, everybody. This is David Shepard on SiriusXM NBA Radio on Channel 86, and of course, heard on the SXM app. We are joined by NBA legend Muggsy Bogues. He is part of a very worthwhile cause that we are going to get into momentarily. But before we do anything else, Muggsy, it's an honor to speak to you on SiriusXM NBA Radio. When's the last time somebody mentioned Space Jam or Eddie to you?
Well, Space Jam get mentioned to me quite a bit throughout the week. Some kid parents didn't introduce them to Space Jam, who I am because of that at that age where they are right now. They had never saw me play besides Google. So, it's a conversation piece with the parents, let them know that, I took place in this movie, that they stole my powers and I was able to get them back. We had a lot of fun doing it.
No, to say the least. I mean, it's one of the all-time great movies for sure. Muggsy Bogues, before we get into your NBA career and the state of the NBA in 2026, you have partnered with HeartFlow Inc. It's the global leader in non-invasive artificial intelligence healthcare solutions, and for their game film, which obviously is an acronym for Guidance for Athletes Myocardio Evaluation, with FFRCT, imaging and lifestyle management. You've given a lot back to so many people over the years. I know you're such a big proponent of your Muggsy Bogues Family Foundation. When this specific opportunity came to you, why was HeartFlow so near and dear to you?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on and talking about this because
Of
it's so
course.
important. We are really losing so many, not only just the athletes, but just a lot of folks who have the underlying issues in terms of dealing with, that cardiovascular disease. And so many guys are dropping, too many of them are just dropping off the face of the earth because not knowing. And I'm just so thankful to partner with HeartFlow and being one of the first registry to take part in the exam because again, we all want to know. Even at this stage in my life, we put so much energy out there and when we test the limit, especially, the type of athlete that we are and pursuing our dreams and, and our heart really, take control of everything because we're exercising a lot and we're doing so much to try to be the best athlete that we can, but not knowing what's going inside could be very important. So I'm so grateful and thankful to have this opportunity to partner with HeartFlow just to find out what's all going on. And it's such an issue, not again, especially with our athletes, especially with the big guys.
Sure.
And I just lost. I don't even want to say how many friends that I've lost because of it. And it's all due to not knowing basically what's going on inside.
No, that's really well said, Muggsy Bogues. And again, we are joined by this NBA legend on SiriusXM NBA Radio. And to your point, HeartFlow is all about transformation, and it discusses coronary artery disease. It treats it, which obviously we know is the world's leading cause of death. And to your credit, Muggsy, it's a conversation and a dialogue that I don't believe is at the forefront of too many people. And I'm glad that someone like you with your platform is making so many people aware of that. Now, we're going to certainly talk more about that at the end. Speaking of heart, this is not the first time you've heard this. This is not the last time you're going to hear this. I don't know many people that played with more heart than you. You talk about being in the NBA for 14 years and doing it at such a high level. Now, I'm curious if you took your game in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s and you were put into 2026, knowing how fast you were from end to end, how quick you were, and knowing the way the pace of the game is today, with 7 seconds or left, thanks to Mike D'Antoni, how would your game translate to the NBA in 2026?
Well, before we move on to that question, I just want to make sure everybody know in terms of what heart flow and this cardiovascular disease is all about. You got to go to the website to learn and get more information. So make sure you go to heartflow slash, heartflow.com/game film. That is heartflow.com/game film. But to answer to your question, in today's game, I think I would fare well. I mean, back in our day, it was clogged up. The middle was clogged. I mean, we had so many rules where, the big guys kind of camped in the middle, where it was kind of hard to really penetrate and get down there because one of the main things back in our era, playing back in the 80s and the 90s, that the big guys made sure that any guard penetration that came through the lane, they made you pay for it, and they punish you by hitting you and make sure that you understand that you don't belong down here.
Right.
The game is still evolving, and that's what I love about the NBA. No matter from the 60s, 70s, 80s, the 90s to the 2000s, it's going to continue to evolve. And that's where it is today. And I think any NBA player believe that they could have played in any era. That's just the player the mindset that they have, the things that they believe that they're capable of doing, no matter what type of athlete who they're competing against, no matter what era. So I feel like I will fare well, especially there's no hand checking. They can't guide you in terms of where they want to lead you, and the lane is wide open. I thought I was pretty quick. It was kind of hard for guys to stay in front of me, so I believe that I would have had a pretty good career during this time.
And we are joined by NBA legend Muggsy Bogues on SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86, and of course heard on the SXM app. Muggsy, there's a lot of people that have even said this to me and proposed this to me. I just want to get your thoughts on this. You coached the Charlotte Sting. You were a head coach in the WNBA. I don't know how many people are aware of that. We all know your, NBA career for 14 years and what you were able to accomplish in your decade plus in Charlotte. You ever think about getting into coaching at the NBA level, knowing how much wisdom and knowledge you can impart to the next generation? Has that thought ever crossed your mind?
Well, that always crossed my mind. I almost had an opportunity to coach when Michael Jordan was on the team for the Charlotte Hornets. I almost had the opportunity, but it didn't materialize. It didn't
Right.
happen. But coaching is always going to be in my DNA. Even though if I'm on the bench or behind the bench or in the stands, I'm always looking at the game in that regards and those through those lenses, and just watching and understanding the game and being on the bench could be different. But right now at this stage in my life. The guys are different. The guys are totally different.
Sure.
And yes, they are. And I'm just enjoying it from afar. Watching some of these coaches come up with the game plans, trying to create an opportunity where they can put their players in the best situation to be successful. It's a joy to watch and seeing they all come to, fruition and whoever that last team standing to be able to hold that crown. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this game. Anybody is capable of winning it. So I'm just happy to be a part of the NBA still, to be relevant in the game with some of these players, but also just enjoying it and watching some of the greatest athletes in the world.
It's funny, and again, we're joined by NBA legend Muggsy Bogues on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Look, you defied the odds, and somebody who was 5'3", playing in an era where the average height was 6'7". So you're going against guys a foot and a half taller than you, and it's the absolute best competition in the world. Most people, when they're that size and that physical stature, they're not encouraged to take up basketball and, make it as a professional living. Along the way, Muggsy, what was your inner belief in yourself that allowed you to have that confidence besides God-given athletic ability? How did you make that work and overcome that adversity when so many other people would have said, you know what, I'm 5'3", NBA, it's a long shot, it's not for me. How were you able to overcome all those odds and all those doubters and play successfully at such a high level for 14 years?
Well, it started way before I became 5'3". It started when I was at age 5 years old, growing up in the city. I always been the smallest of the crew, and I've had so many, cruel things said to me once I was out on the basketball court. But a lot of things happened to me in my life at an early age. Got shot at the age of 5, and after recovering from those, buckshot wounds, it just changed my mindset. And so every time I stepped on the basketball court, those words, the negative words that you was hearing, it just went in one ear and out the other. It didn't have the same impact. And it allowed me to really block everybody out and just focus on what I wanted to do. And one thing, and thankful that I understood that God had created me for his own purpose.
Sir.
And I
Amen.
looked in the mirror and I didn't just like myself. I really loved me. I really loved me. And it gave me that inner strength, the confidence to go out there, to believe what I believe, to stay on the path and not get persuaded of what others thought. So that inner confidence is started very, very early. And it had it to in order for me to accomplish the things that I was able to accomplish. Because without that inner strength, that belief, regardless of all the naysayers, it would have never happened without the guidance of the man above and also understanding who I was and what I was capable of. And it always go back from what my mom used to tell me. And I didn't understand it at the time. And I used to come home crying to her all the time, tell her how the kids used to be cruel to me. And she used to always say, and I was Ty back then. She was like, Ty, no one could be an expert in your life. No one knows your capabilities. No one knows your potential. And they sure can't measure your heart. So if you want to play basketball, you go right out there and play. And I was just like, all right, mom, okay. Not knowing what that meant until I started to get a little older and it really registered. And it stayed with me even to this day.
Yeah, you can say that again. I mean, Muggsy, even as a SiriusXM NBA radio host, I draw from you as an inspiration. I remember your NBA career. And I also, I follow your career and your post NBA career and how important parenthood is to you and how much pride you take in being a father. And, something that's always been indelible about you, Muggsy Bogues, is whatever you're doing, whether it's Space Jam, whether it's playing basketball, whether it's acting in Eddie, whether it's, being a part of the Muggsy Bogues Family Foundation, you do it with your entire heart, with everything you got. And it's something that cannot be overstated. Again, we are joined by the legend Muggsy Bogues right here on SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86. Muggsy, when you look at today's game, who is the player that reminds you the most of you?
Well, not one player. I mean,
Yeah.
ain't nobody out there that plays the game the way I play it. And but you got some similarity, and the kid just got traded to New York.
Jose,
There
Jose,
was
Jose Alvarado.
Jose
Yeah.
Jose Alvarado.
Oh yeah.
Jose like to pick the guys up 94 feet, and he also like to play behind the guys and wondering where he is. So that was some of the things I used to do back in the day, playing defense from the behind where they couldn't see me. So he got a little similarity in that regards, but I can't really say one player out there kind of emulate me because of the way I played it, and of course the height factor.
Yeah. Well, you can say, it's funny because I know a lot of times, people associate you with Spud Webb or
Yes.
Boykins or Nate Robinson, but you and Spud, y'all paved the way for Earl Boykins and Nate Robinson. And it's interesting, Muggsy, because, in following the NBA as much as you do and as much as I do, I don't believe there's anybody in the NBA right now that's on an active roster that's even under 6 feet. I think Jose Alvarado may be the shortest at 6 feet. At
Well,
least he's listed at 6 feet. We'll
you
certainly
got the
go with
kid,
that.
you got the kid at Houston, Yuki.
Yeah, no, that's a
Yeah,
fair
Yuki's
point.
5'8", I believe. So
Wow.
and yeah, and he's all about heart too. So that's why heart flow it kind of go hand in hand with all of us small guys because we put our heart all in it, and but the guys as well. And that's one of the reasons why I'm happy to be again part of heart flow um, study. What they
Yeah.
doing, providing this type of imaging and letting folks know what's all going on inside you so you can be able to continue to live the best quality life. So I'm grateful.
No, absolutely. And it's Muggsy, I'm looking at this website, heartflow.com/game film. And and just reading some of these statistics, I mean, up to 1 in 3 of former NFL players die from cardiovascular disease. My question for you as a professional athlete, and it's great that you're getting behind this cause, is do you feel like being an athlete actually puts you more at risk for cardiovascular disease given how much you put on your body on a day in, day out basis? I'm just curious from your perspective, what you believe that transpires from, because to read that statistic, and that's on the website, to read that statistic of guys that are world-class athletes and 1 of 3 are passing away because of cardiovascular disease. That just doesn't add up, Muggsy.
I would have never thought about that. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me, knowing that
Yes.
a high-perform athlete out there, doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing, all the eating right, eating healthy, exercising the way you're supposed to exercise, and still you get those type of images where you may have a little blockage in your artery, or you got plaque around your heart, and wondering how is that possible? But again, it's just so grateful that we have this machine. We have this type of technology today to where, the game film and Heart Flow and what they doing, they bringing awareness and letting folks know that we have a solution. if you want to. And then a lot of athletes, they just don't want to know. Some of them just don't want to know. They're afraid to know. They're just afraid to know what's going on inside. And that's a lot of those things that why it happens, why a lot of people drop for no reason. And I always believe that just knowing, just having the information, not only for yourself, for your doctors, it can be very helpful for the information, being able to have this knowledge to be able, we can prolong your life knowing that we have this information. Because not knowing, it's crapshooting. And it's no way to live life that way when you got loved ones care so much about you.
No, absolutely. And again, folks, Muggsy Bogues is not putting his name to this platform, to this mission for anything but an incredible reason. Again, you can go to heartflow.com/gamefilm, and it is a website that I would encourage everyone to be looking at, to be studying, because it is something that impacts all of us, whether it's from a personal basis or whether it's someone that you love and that is near and dear to your heart. Again, we are joined by the NBA legend, Muggsy Bogues, right here on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Muggsy, I got two more for you. You are a legend in the Charlotte community. There is no doubt about that. You retire as the all-time assist leader, the all-time steals leader for that franchise's history. You still remain the franchise leader in both categories by a mile, by the way. You're going to be humble, but I'll just put it out there. You are one of the Mount Rushmore guys when you talk about the Charlotte Hornets. They're doing pretty well. I mean, you talk about what they're doing with Charles Lee. Muggsy, they just had a 9-game winning streak. They haven't had that kind of a
Yes.
winning streak since the 20th century. It's amazing. You talk about the youth movement going on with LaMelo and Brandon Miller and this rookie Con Knippel. He's sensational. He would have won Rookie of the Year if not for his Duke teammate, obviously Cooper Flagg. When you look as a Charlotte Hornets alum at what they have accomplished recently, how excited are you for the near future and what stands out to you?
Oh, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the future. They're doing an amazing job. I mean, the new regime, Rick and Gabe, they doing a great job with Charles and Jeff putting together some great talent and talent that kind of complement one another. You mentioned the core, Mello, Knippel, and V. Miller, and along with Miles Bridges. And you can't forget about Moose Diabetic, who's kind of fitting in and contributing and doing a lot of good things
Sure.
for the organization. And as you just alluded to, they were on a 9-game winning streak until the mayhem went down against Detroit, and then
Oh,
they
really?
followed, yeah, then they followed up and got another win against Atlanta. But I'm
Yes.
just thrilled about what they've done, the patience they have acquired in terms of being able to let these guys develop and grow. And I think, with Gabe and Rick and then Jeff and Charles at the helms, I think the Hornets' future is very bright.
No, absolutely. And speaking of very bright, there is a lot of bright opportunities you get for retiring as a 16th all-time leader in career assists. You're in Space Jam. You're alongside LJ, Grandmama, Patrick Ewing, Sean Bradley, Sir Charles, and of course some guy named Michael Jordan. For what is appropriate for the air, do you have a favorite Michael Jordan story based on your friendship of, I would say almost 40 years at this point, because he's an individual and a figure that is talked about every single day. But I don't feel like a lot of people know so much about him as a man. What can you shed light on that?
Well, it's not much to share about MJ. Well, I'll just give you one story, just a Space Jam story that we was all on set together, and we supposed to have a morning shoot in terms of scheduling was on the books that we supposed to have a shoot that morning, but Larry Johnson decided he needed a haircut. And he all of a sudden let this Caucasian man who never cut an African American hair before to give him a haircut. Just a long story short, we didn't
Yeah.
shoot that morning. So we had to
Oh
cancel the
no.
shoot.
He canceled on
And
MJ?
no, we had to cancel that shoot for Larry,
Okay.
that portion, because he
Got you.
didn't have his hair cut the way he liked it. So we had to have another gentleman come in and fix his haircut. And MJ really rode him on that
Right.
about having another guy cut his hair and had to cancel our shoot that morning. So he really gave LJ a really hard time doing that shooting. So, but I'm gonna keep it clean. That's the only one you're gonna get.
I appreciate that, Muggsy. Muggsy, I kind of feel I got one more question for you. When you talk about the NBA All-Star game, And now it's the international players versus players from America. The growth of the game is tremendous. If you were commissioner for a day, are you satisfied with the level of intensity that's going on and taking place at the All-Star game, or is there something you would do to change it if Muggsy Bogues was the NBA commissioner for a day?
Well, for one, I'll go back to East West. Let's
Yeah,
just keep it simple. East West, and the guys got to take more ownership of that. That's what it used to be in the past. It's the players. They know it's an all-star game, but they know when it's time to compete and give the fans exactly what they deserve. But when you're out there just laying around, laying on the floor, just really just not even caring about what the fans, because the fans they wait all year for this event. The corporate companies, they wait all year for this event. It's one of their big times to showcase what they mean to the NBA. And for the players not to take ownership of that and not to go out there just give a 50 or 70% effort, is a disgrace of the game. But I think the message and the word is getting out. And I think some younger players understand the importance of it. And I think they're gonna put some of the, I don't know, maybe the older guys on, on Front Street.
right.
Because when you putting that type of effort and that, energy out there, it resonate. And it also show who's all in and who's all out.
Absolutely. And again, Muggsy Bogues, he's all in with HeartFlow Inc. It is the global leader in non-invasive artificial intelligence healthcare solutions. And as Muggsy elocuted so brilliantly, this is something that unfortunately is the world's leading cause of death. It's a condition that fortunately can be detected early, accurately, and managed for life. Just go to heartflow.com/game film. Muggsy, before we conclude this interview, it's an honor to have you on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Is there anything else you wanted to enlighten our audience on in terms of heart flow?
Well, just for all of my athletes, all of my former athletes, current athletes, please take advantage of heartflow.com game film opportunity. It can save your life. It can give you the information that you probably not even know what's going inside. Life is too short. Your loved ones care for you. So why not take that little time to care about you and go get the message and get that image that you desperately need to knowing that you can prolong your life as long as you have that information knowing. So please do that. That's all I have.
Muggsy, you're the best. Honor to speak to you on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Hope we do it again soon. And in the meantime, stay blessed and hope your family stays blessed as well, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.